Well, welcome back to the Steve Robb Show. Today, we're going to have a little bit of fun, and it's going to be fun about me. I'd like to just share a nice little story that happened to me in my F-150. First of all, I'd just like to say that, yeah, I couldn't figure out what was wrong with this truck, guys. Like, I mean, not even close. I got years and years and years of experience of being a YouTube trained technician with my good buddy here, Scanner Danner. And guys, this one here, I was completely lost. And I'm going to tell you exactly what happened and how. Yeah, guys, there's a big difference between being a YouTube trained technician and actually being a real technician. And most of my training has all been mainly with Scanner Danner and Scanner Danner Premium. And guys, there's lots of great technicians out there on YouTube, but I'm going to tell you something. In my own personal opinion, I haven't got a clue, you know, compared to what these guys actually know. You have to be in the automotive field and practice it daily to get a good grasp. And there's one thing that Scanner Danner always says, and guys, it used to drive me crazy, but he's right. Variables. There's always variables. So, you know, sometimes you really can't get a hard and a fast answer, a yes or a no, to some things, because yes, there's a lot of variables when it comes to automotive repair. So I'm going to start off at the beginning here. I'm going to make this as fast as I can. I'm over at Princess Auto. And I go in there and do some shopping, and I have a buddy of mine that comes up to my camp, and he's also a Ford technician. And I meet him over there. I see him there. So I'm talking to him a little bit, and I do a little bit of shopping, and I come back out. I go to start my truck. Starts up, it'll flare up, shut off. Flare up, shut off. And that's all it would do. Now if I put my foot on the pedal all the way down, yeah, it would start up. Horrible misfire, would not run properly, nothing at all. So I see my buddy and I call him over and I said, like, this truck's not starting. So he goes over, I go, and I got my little scan tool, just an OBD2 scan tool. It's not a factory scan tool, just a regular, just a cheapie. No codes, nothing on the dash, absolutely nothing. It checks out perfect. So I said, that's illogical. I mean, you know, there's got to be something wrong with this truck. So he phones up his buddies at the dealership. The dealership was open that day. And they come over and they brought the factory scan tool with them. And they're inside the truck. Within, I would say, guys, no more than 2 minutes, they had the truck running. Now the first thing my friend's buddy did was, that came over, was we got the truck running. He pulled the MAF sensor off, disconnected it, and the truck died. And I'm not too sure exactly what that was all about. Plugged it back in, started the truck up, and it ran the same, horrible, would barely keep running. So he had enough time to go on there and take a look that I lost my crank sensor PID. He said, you have to have a crank sensor relearn. So we did the crank sensor relearn. And he had asked me, he said, did you change the battery on this anytime soon, or did you touch the battery or anything like that? And I told him, I says, yeah, I changed the battery. And he goes, well, that might have done it. And I go, well, what's that have to do with it? I put in a battery saver, you know, like to, you know, keep the memory alive and everything else. And he goes, well, that doesn't always work. And that's the first time I ever heard about how that doesn't always work. Sometimes you can lose your keep alive memory in some modules. And that's the first time I have ever heard of that before. But he has run into that more than once. So, get the truck started and relearn the crank, and the truck runs like a dream. I drive it around the parking lot, and meanwhile I had phoned CAA. And the guy had showed up, and I said, look, the truck seems to be working fine now. I don't need you, so I canceled the, you know, the towing service. So I'm on my way home. I get about maybe a block away from my house, and I make a right-hand turn, and the truck just shuts off. Except this time, it does not start up. It doesn't do nothing. So, phoned up my buddy again. He said, look, he said, get it towed to the dealer. We'll take a look at it on Monday. So that's exactly what happened. It went in there, and they looked it over. And guys, they spent, I believe he said, about maybe a half an hour on it, and said it needed a new MAF sensor. So I'm thinking, a new MAF sensor. How come there was no codes on this? Right? How is that possible that the truck can run that bad, no codes, no nothing? He said, well, you don't always get a code. And I said, I've been watching YouTube for a long time, and I'm thinking, he goes, whoa, 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 don't get me started on this YouTube stuff. He goes, I don't want to hear about YouTube. Guys, I tell you what, this guy's pretty sharp, and he said you don't always get a code, you know, for everything that you're going to, you know, run into. I'm not exactly too sure what the problem was. I couldn't understand half the stuff he was talking about. But the MAF sensor apparently corrupted another circuit, and that was the whole reason behind this. And you're not going to always get a code. So, you know, like in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I can try and figure this out myself. And but I had no codes, I had nowhere to go, I had no idea what was going on. And guys, a professional is the guy that, you know, works on these all day long. He knows what's going on. And for me, a YouTube technician just didn't quite cut it. I mean, I think I have to, you know, up my game a bit there and learn a little bit more about circuit design and variables. There's always these variables, guys. So, yeah, my battery change that I did on my vehicle, it may have started this whole thing off. But you know what? I changed that battery, and this didn't happen until 3 days later. And I had driven the truck back and forth and around and that kind of stuff. And he went on about something to do with drive cycles and all this kind of stuff, and how it might not have affected the vehicle at first. I had no idea what he was talking about, to tell you the truth. And a lot of times when you're watching an automotive channel and you really don't understand what's going on, guys, there's a lot more to it than you know, than we try to figure out on YouTube as just being a viewer. And it is actually just an awesome trade if you're good. And that's the problem. Like, guys, I failed just terrifically. Just like, you couldn't have failed worse on this. And when I first said, well, I don't know, I've been watching a lot of YouTube vids for a long time, and I'm thinking there should be a code come up on this thing, right? And the first thing Buddy said was, I had enough of this YouTube. I don't want to hear about YouTube. Guys, they have people coming into the dealer all the time telling them how to fix their vehicles because they watched YouTube and this guy fixed it a certain way and it solved this problem. And they actually have people come in and say, I want you to change this sensor. How much does it cost? And they will change it, and the vehicle still doesn't run. And now they're mad because the guy on YouTube said it fixed it and he spent all this money and it didn't fix it. And that's the problem. So, I mean, be careful what you're doing on YouTube, watching YouTube videos. You know, the guys that are teaching on YouTube are just phenomenal, but you cannot expect to transfer all that data that you're going to read, you know, on YouTube or watch somebody do something and say it's going to apply to every situation that you see. And in my particular situation, I was convinced that this vehicle should have thrown a code for something. And when a vehicle doesn't throw a code and give you any direction at all, that's where a real professional comes in. And that's where the guys, you know, like I promote on my channel, it could be Ivan or Keith or Eric O or Robinson Auto, it could be Scanner Danner, it could be, you know, Jim the Car Guy. All kinds of these people are the pros. And there's no way I'm going to ever say that anybody on YouTube who's just strictly like a do-it-yourselfer, guys, we are nowhere close to being, you know, their level. And yeah, a little bit of humility come in a long way that day as, yeah, guys, when I mentioned YouTube, he went right off. And, you know, I really don't blame him, you know, because you can only learn so much, but you have to actually get out there, get your hands dirty, and get into it. So I just thought I'd share this little bit of an experience that I've had. And guys, we put the new MAF sensor in. The truck runs like a dream. And I think it's just terrific that I've got friends that, you know, I can call up and get these things all sorted out for me. And I wish I could understand exactly what he was saying, what was wrong with it. But I don't have the training, guys, and it is tough. So thanks for joining me here today. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe. Come back again, guys, and let's have some more fun. Cheers.